Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle McGill, disability consultant, advocate, and public speaker for breaking barriers to independence. Today, we are here with Sabrina Cohen, president of the Sabrina Cohen Foundation in Miami, Florida. It's a privilege to have you today, and thank you for joining us for a short interview session.
Thank you, Danielle.
You're
It's
welcome.
good to see you here.
So where are you right now? You have a beautiful view.
Right now I am sitting on my balcony in Miami Beach.
Oh.
And it's over the bay, so it's beautiful, yes.
Is it clear skies today or?
Today there's clouds in the sky, but it's probably about 95 degrees. It's so hot. So it's a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, here in Tampa, it's pretty hot, like a dry heat.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started. I wanted to know more about what you do in the community and how did you come all about, like from a child till now? Like, kind of give us a snapshot of
Sure.
what you do.
Okay, sure. Well, I was born and raised in Miami Beach, so I've been here my whole life. I grew up very healthy and athletic and super independent and into sports and all types of activities like ballet and dance. And when I was 14 years old, I was a sophomore in high school. When I was a sophomore in high school, I was involved in a car accident. And instantly I became a C3 quadriplegic, and I was paralyzed from the neck down. I had made the decision at the time to jump into a vehicle with some kids from high school that I really didn't know with my best friend to go to a party one night. And they took off drag racing down one of Miami Beach's most dangerous roads and crashed. And in an instant, my life redirected. And, you know, while it took many, many years for me to come to terms with living life in a wheelchair and becoming a quadriplegic, really within weeks of returning back to school, my teacher and other schools had asked me if I would talk to students about reckless driving, particularly around like prom night. So really at 15 years old, that's where my life path redirected, and that's how I got into advocacy work. So early on, from 15 years old till now, I've probably spoken to over 40,000 students about reckless driving, you know, wearing your seatbelt and understanding a little bit what life with paralysis is like and ways that people can become spinal cord injury in particular. You know, when I was yearning for more independence after high school, I moved into the dorms at the University of Miami. I got my degree in psychology and advertising. And soon after graduating from college, I had met an individual who started a nonprofit in the field of regenerative medicine, stem cell research. And I don't know if you remember, but back in 2003, it was a hot button issue. And it was such a...
I do remember.
Right? It was such an intriguing field of science that really promised to have medical treatments for all types of medical conditions and disabilities. And so I immediately shifted my education in advertising to becoming the public relations director of this organization, and started traveling all over the country speaking at colleges like Harvard, University of Baylor. I went to the United Nations. I spoke on Capitol Hill, educating people about the importance of moving science forward. And I did that for about a decade. And on my journey, learning about how these treatments could help so many people around the world, I also saw that there was a gap in quality of life initiatives to help people today to stay healthy, both physically and mentally. Absolutely. So when these treatments become available, you know, their bodies are in the best condition to treat them.
And mental illness is a big topic right now.
Mental illness is a huge topic. It really is. I think it's actually an underspoken topic, right? It's not, um, it's out there, but there's still a lot to learn. And I think this pandemic has definitely brought it to an elevated height with people's anxiety and, panic over what's happening. So yeah, it's really important.
uh, my question to you is how have you seen the ADA made it accessible for people with disabilities to receive services and information?
For COVID in particular, or life in general?
Life in general.
Well, I think with access to the internet and technology, passing information and people's individual advocacy voices are much louder now. So for me, I got hurt at 14 when the ADA was already well passed, and I was fortunate enough to be born into a life where accessibility features in South Florida really were quite accommodating, from ramps to hospitals, resources in the healthcare world. I found very easy for me to get to because of being born in this community. So I think ADA, when we look at just traveling and hotels, we all know there's work that could always continue to be done, but really, I think we've come a really long way as far as allowing people with disabilities, whether it's in education. When I went to college, there was a disability services program that helped me get through college. I had an accessible dorm room with an electric door that could power operate, open and close, so I could be as independent as possible. And I really think the ADA, by enforcing these laws, it just opened the eyes to many people and service providers to make what our needs are available.
And what barriers do you still see or feel or know that is a challenge for us people with disabilities today still?
Yeah, so I think there's both mental challenges and there's tangible challenges. So I'll start with the mental, because I think that plays a huge role. And I think, because disability groups, we're like the largest minority, there's still a long way to go where society understands us, understands our needs, and comprehends what our lifestyles are like. They may be very different from an able-bodied lifestyle, from a physical component.
Even the disability itself is different from other disabilities.
Correct.
Like intellectual disability is so different from a physical one or a mental one. They always put us in categories, but they don't look that every ability and disability is different from each other.
Correct. And needs to be handled differently. So I think that misunderstanding that's out there creates barriers within ourselves, right? Like I had many barriers that I had to overcome within myself of shame and inclusion, because I didn't feel like everybody else. So I was always spent so many years proving that I was still a human being that was vital to society. So I think that's one major barrier, that if society and the world is more understanding, more open, and understands and accepts people that are different, then those mental barriers will start to dissolve even more, as they are already. So I'm very grateful for where society is.
And the stigma as well. There is still a stigma there.
There's a lot of stigma, yeah.
What can communities do to improve inclusion for people with disabilities in regards to employment and medical services?
I think really just being open to people that are different, giving them a chance. What I have found in my over 20 years of living with a disability is that some of the brightest biggest problem solvers I've ever met are people with disabilities, because we have to do things differently. And I think we are a huge asset to the workforce. So it's about people just being open and giving people a chance and educating themselves when they meet someone, instead of maybe being afraid. Just work through that fear and get to know somebody for who they are. And I think communities need to, it's really awareness, it's really awareness. And it's about having advocates. So part of it we could put on the community, but then I think we also have to put advocates on the ground that are out there educating people.
Like grassroots.
I think it's a very grassroots thing, because the truth is people really don't take on things that they don't know about or they don't see. I, for one, I've sat on the Miami Beach Disability Access Committee now for probably 10 years. We go to hotels, we go visit places when they're not accessible, stores, we bring it to their attention and they make those changes. I've seen the Miami Beach community very open to changing, but they need to be informed, right? So it's important for all communities to have these disability awareness communities, committees where change can happen. I think that's a realistic way to encourage communities to change, is by having an open ear, being aware of what the challenges are within
And an
the city.
open mind as well, not just
an open mind. Correct.
Because knowledge is power. And what can an individual do with a disability in their community to promote that?
Well, I think there's a lot they could do. Get involved in chambers, get involved in your city government. I, for one, started a nonprofit in order to provide more accessibility and inclusive programming in the community. So
Can you tell us a little bit about your nonprofit and your foundation?
Sure. So after I traveled around the country and did the stem cell research advocacy, I realized that more needed to be done on the ground for quality of life. And so I started the Sabrina Cohen Foundation in 2006. And fast forward to today, I run an all-inclusive, full-service beach access program on 64th and Collins Avenue. It's sort of like a pop-up program where we convert a piece of the beach and make it fully accessible with a totally hands-on team that helps people, if they're in wheelchairs, get in and out of their chairs and into beach chairs. We get them into the water to swim, to float, to get on adaptive surfboards. We do yoga, meditation. Yeah. And we do exercise programs on the beach. So that's one thing that I do. Right now with the pandemic, I started Monday through Friday an adaptive fitness virtual workshop, basically Monday through Friday, providing free classes to anybody from anywhere around the country or the world to join. We do like yoga, meditation, boxing, upper body classes, all from home virtually. So really the focus of my foundation, and then I also work on the ground with the city of Miami Beach to make facilities more inclusive. So in 2017, we opened the first ADA playground on Collins Avenue. They named it after me, Sabrina's Playground. And really just, again, it's about educating your government, your city officials, and usually it's a blind spot. They're not even aware of these inaccessible spots. So I brought it to their attention through the work of my foundation. We put the project together. There were many agreements and steps that had to be made. You don't just put disabled people in the water. And we made it happen, by sticking to a plan, coming up with a safe concept, and then delivering on it.
It sounds like a lot of advocacy work as you go about making change like that. But yes, the end result is always like a motivator to do something even bigger and better for the next thing. And just to know that there's people like you, advocates like you, and professionals with disabilities gives us individuals who are struggling through the advocacy role or through the government benefits that it is possible to be fully independent. Um, I'm just floored by what you do, and I hear so much about you
Thank you.
through various people. And I want to know, what is your overall message past the ADA? What can we do for in the future? Make
I
sure
really,
that this piece of legislation progresses in the right direction.
I think it's, I really, I'm big into accountability and taking action. I think it is up to our community to continue to be strong advocates, get out there. It's our own job really to work past any shame or guilt or fear of being in society because of our insecurities, really tune into who we are. I mean, we first have to believe in ourselves before the rest of the world can, right? And we have to, and I say this from experience because I used to like roll around school with my head down like this. I was so ashamed to be seen. And now I couldn't pick my head up high enough to be so proud to stand up and be a voice for this community. But I know that things don't just change by wishing it. So we have to put the action, we have to put the effort into it. We have to keep propelling forward, and we have to believe that we deserve and we've earned the rights to be equal members of society like everybody else. And if it costs a little bit more and it takes more effort, then let's continue to educate our community so they're aware that these are our needs. And what we're doing really is paving a way for more inclusive communities where it affects everybody.
My hope is that our cities and communities will create universal design, like
Correct.
better
Correct.
access to buildings through universal design, even housing. I know Miami-Dade is probably working on an affordable housing for people with disabilities and low income
Yes.
families.
Yeah. And I'm seeing that more and more. I actually,
And
when I
my
start,
my hope is that when they do the construction of these places, that they think about universal design.
and I think Danielle, they are. About 5 years ago, I got my real estate license so I could tap into the niche market of accessibility and inclusive design. So what I've seen with developers is there's a growing awareness of designing these all-inclusive facilities. Actually, it's the law, so you actually can't build a building anymore. That just has steps to get in. So by law, more
Thanks to
and
the
more,
ADA.
thanks to the ADA, more, all buildings now are built and designed. And I think complementary to the law that the ADA created now is like all this smart home technology that just is another layer of independence on top of, okay, so you could get into your home because there's a ramp or an elevator, but now you could push a button to open the door to get in on your own. You could push a button to turn on your lights,
Or
your
even by
music,
voice, or
by
even by
voice.
voice through
Correct.
Alexa and all these other integrated
Correct.
app technology,
Absolutely. So
which
I think,
is amazing.
yeah, and I think we should also acknowledge um, the 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 gratitude in society for having companies or corporations, you know, that whether it's a cruise ship that has made ADA accessible cabins or Apple technology that has created, you know, touch devices and voice operated systems, like all of that really contributes, like they're like layers on top of the ADA to make our world an easier, more functional environment to live in for anybody, even the aging population that may eventually, you know, start to lose mobility and function. It really serves a gamut of people.
So can you please tell me how we can learn more about your foundation, like your
Sure.
website or your email, or so that people could reach out to you?
Sure. So I could be found on Facebook under Sabrina Cohen or Sabrina Cohen Foundation. My Instagram, LinkedIn, all my accounts are under either my name or the foundation. And then the website is www.sabrinacohenfoundation.org. And I'm merging my beach website to sabrinacohenfoundation.org, so everything can be found through that one page. You know, the whole beach program and the adaptive fitness can be found as well, all on my sites.
And what does the beach gym program entail? Is there requirement?
For the beach program,
Yes.
so in a working season, because right now sadly we're off. Basically, there's no requirements, but we have a system. So we have tiers of volunteers and staff with all credibilities from like ocean rescue, lifeguards, physical therapists, recreational therapists that can assist any individual coming to the beach day. But it's not a free for all where 50 people show up and we put them in the water. So the only requirement that we have is a registration requirement where they pre-register, so we can anticipate how many people are coming, and then we have a time schedule. Like it's like we put like for every one participant, we have 3 to 5 volunteers with them, bringing them into the water and taking care of them, making sure they're okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a matter of registering, emailing me. You asked me about that. My email is sabrina@sabrinacohenfoundation.org. People could find my contact info anywhere. Contact me, and we do everything to get them in.
I thank you for your time and all that you
You're
do.
welcome.
You're a wonderful role model for the
Thank you.
community, and not just for what you do, but I could get a sense that you are a very outgoing person, and you like to help people, and that just inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Thank you, Danielle.
I hope people listening will reach out to you and learn more about what you're doing. And if there's any way in the future that I could help, or
Thank you.
anyone else, feel free to contact Sabrina.
Thank you, guys.
So
Thank you, everyone, for
so
listening,
much.
and thank you, Danielle, for this opportunity.
Of course, and I'm hoping that people will tune in on July 31st to see your presentation. Injury to Advocacy will be her presentation. So
Yep.
take a look at that on July 31st at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Super. I'll be there.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.